Three monuments here. We've seen two of them already. This is the first one, however, placed here in 1867. For those on this side, you can see these words, "All time is the millennium of their glory." Anyone know whose speech that is from? It was given on November 19th of 1863. The guy who spoke
Edward Everett.
Edward Everett, the guy who spoke for over 2 hours. That was part of his closing of his speech. All time is the millennium of their glory. Well, like any monument here, there's always debate that goes on. In 1865, several members of a Minnesota commission on placing some monuments here on the battlefield were writing back and forth with David Wills on placing a monument to the dead of Minnesota here in the National Cemetery. And this is what, according to this letter, what Wills related to one of these individuals. He states that he laid my proposition to build a monument to the first Minnesota dead before the Board of Managers, and that while they will grant the privilege if it be insisted upon, they think that the one great national monument and the granite stones which the association will place at each grave will be all that is necessary in the way of commemoration, and that our monument would be disproportionately small so near to the large shaft which they propose to erect. So that's David Wills saying we don't want the cemetery littered with a bunch of different monuments. We want it to be very plain. We want to have headstones and one large national monument in the center. Of course, the first Minnesota actually won out, got their small monument here in the National Cemetery. But other than this one, you don't see many other monuments in this place. They wanted to keep this relatively clear of monuments. The only stones you see are the large stones marking each state section, such as this for Minnesota with 52 dead. This marker, a few other post-war markers as well. And it makes us wonder, again, not necessarily questions I have all the answers for, but just things to think about in different ways. Why do we place monuments on different parts of the battlefield? Is placing a monument in a national cemetery different from placing a monument where soldiers fell out on Cemetery Ridge? Is removing the dead from the battlefield to the National Cemetery something worth doing? An 11th Corps chaplain, William LeDuc, thought that the dead should remain out on the battlefield. This is what he wrote in September of 1863. He said he noticed in a local paper that they were reburying the dead of Gettysburg to this new national cemetery. And he said it was probably best for the bodies to stay where they fell. Where can these noble and brave men so well rest their mortal forms as in the earth, wet with their patriotic blood? What village churchyard can offer so proud a sepulchre? What place of sepulchre so appropriate? Where will they lie so proudly quiet as where they met slavery's advancing minions and said, "Thus far, but no farther"? When we